What's up, YouTube? We're in the bathroom today because I am doing a little facial health care. I don't know what it seems like. When I was younger, I didn't have like bad acne at all. Like, I knew some kids that just look like, let me try to adjust this. I think it's too close. I knew some kids that were, yeah, that's better. Some kids that were like Scarface. And that's not to make fun of them. That's just like how bad their acne was. And I don't even know if you can see this, but this little bump I was messing with and got so big. But yeah, the older I get, I'm 35, but the older I get, the more facial hair I'm noticing and the more bumps and scars that I get from acne. I have a lot of acne scars. And so I'm just using this. It's not sponsored, but I'm just using this Equate acne wash that I got at Walmart. But I'm also going to be using this Aztec Secret. You can buy this at the beauty supply. I think Walmart sells it too if you live in the South. I live in Texas. I think they sell it at Walmart. They sell this other one that I have. I could show you, but I don't like it. It doesn't, I don't like it. That's all I can say. And I have no idea where it is right at the moment. But whatever, it doesn't even matter because I don't like it no way. But as you can see from the title of this video, I wanted to discuss the worth of a black woman in modern day America, because I've been noticing a lot of comments, or not even comments, but like debate panels happening, and people just all seem to have their own opinion of black women. And there's this universal comical description of a black woman as loud, ghetto, in your face, aggressive type of woman. And personally, I think that description of a woman exists in every race. I don't care who you are or where you're from. We all know somebody who's like that, loud, obnoxious, aggressive. That's every race. It's not pertaining to black women, but I think because, in comedy, most of the times that's how black women have always been portrayed: ghetto, loud, obnoxious. So there's this market for this portrayal of black women in America. And I felt like it was necessary for me to say something because I am a black woman living in America. And I know that I've seen it firsthand how a person can rile up another person. And then when they react, they're like, see, I told you, angry black woman. There was that one incident with the girl at the 7-Eleven, and the white woman was accosting her in the store, and then she called her, the N-word, and then the girl, was upset, and she was like, say it again. And the woman decided to try her life that day, said it again, got mollywopped inside of 7-Eleven, and I just think that even though the situation just so happened to be between a white woman and a black woman, that's anybody. Because think again about the video of the white girl going up against the other older white woman in the hotel lobby. And that white girl dusted her, that older lady, because of the remarks that she was making. Like, like I'm trying to say, it doesn't matter what race you are. That personality, and then that's not even a personality, but that type of behavior exists all across the board. And I'm sure some of you may be familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson. He's very pro-black. And he was making a comment on a podcast that I had seen where he was saying, he doesn't have an issue with other races like that. He takes pictures with people And I'm not quoting him verbatim, but he was just saying, like, whenever people come up to him of different races, he doesn't be like, oh, get away from me, he speaks with them, he takes pictures with them, because he was saying that his agenda isn't to discredit any other race, but it's to promote the bettering of his own people, Now, me personally, and it's funny, my daughter pointed out that I say that a lot in my videos, so when I said it, I'm like, I immediately thought of her. But I wasn't raised like in a pro-black home, but I did grow up in a statistical home where the father was not present. My dad was in jail my entire childhood. But what I saw from my friends who had dads that were black, I gotta be honest, it didn't make me feel like I was missing out on anything. It didn't make me feel like, gee, I need a dad. I want a dad just like yours. I didn't see that growing up. Because a lot of my friends, close friends, dads who were black, yeah, they were present or semi-present within the home, but there was nothing that those fathers did, in my personal opinion, that, really made me feel like I lost out on having a dad in my life, And this all just equates back to the toughness of a black woman, because my mom had to be tough. She was, a single parent raising 4 daughters in California, of all places. She had to work really hard, and we didn't always give her the best support. We were kids, and then we became teenagers, and oh, God help her, But to say that, black women are a certain way, well, you have to look at why most black women are the way that they are. And yeah, we can go all the way back to slavery. We can talk about how a lot of black men ran to freedom, and the black woman stayed behind, most cases, with the children, most cases, if they weren't sold off. And not all, but a lot of them moved on with their lives. And some of them moved on with white women because they were able to. The white woman was like considered the forbidden fruit. So when they were given the opportunity of what they considered a better life with a better type of woman, that slave mentality just went down generation after generation. Black woman got harder, the black man got more distant, but there are also cases where, black families were pitted against each other. That's why black people have a hard time sticking together now as a group of people, because it was so much, if you don't talk, I'm gonna sell your kids, sell your family, you ain't got no choice but to snitch, But listening to these black guys in these podcasts talk about the reasons why they have an issue with a modern day black woman. Oh, she wants to be independent. Oh, she don't know how to, follow suit, and she don't know how to listen to authority, and she don't know how to, basically be submissive, is what I'm saying. And it's just like, first of all, what good example of submission have we ever seen, ever? It makes me think about like our great-grandparents, whatever. Back in the day, couples stayed together. There was no divorce. There was no, daddy cheated, he got a new family, so he gone. Sometimes, but for the most part, he brought that money home to his wife, and he went out and did what he had to do for his other family. But there was no separation there, and I think it's predominantly because they recognized that they needed each other in a real way. They really did. But it's amazing to me how this has like trickled down into 2022, where people are still debating whether or not black women serve a purpose or have worth or value. And it's really crazy to me how a lot of times it's black men who have a bigger issue with black women than any other race of men. Black women are always compared to white women, always compared to Latino women, always compared to island women, always compared to any other woman for that matter. It's always this weird comparison. that I just don't understand. Give me a second, I gotta wash this off my face. This whole narrative with the comparison bit, you know, I just find it a little bit strange, because you don't really hear other races discussing their women as much as black men do. They feel somehow let down and betrayed, and you know, when she doesn't support me and she doesn't, you know, she's not supportive, she's a gold digger, she always have her hand out. And it kind of makes me think about my own personal experience, because I do have 2 children actually who have, you know, their own father. I don't know how else to say that. And they weren't really around. One of them tried. I'll say he tried. I'll give him credit for what he did do. But it was made to seem as though I was very hard to deal with as a baby mother. And when I really had to go back and think about it, I probably was. I did not go with the okey doke. If something wasn't right, I said something. You know, it's pretty much what it was. For instance, there was a time he had called me and told me that my daughter was sick at his house, and that he needed, I think he said, her social security number. And I'm like, I'm very leery about giving that information out to my kids, because most of the time the dude is just wanting to claim their child on their taxes. And I'm not saying that's what he was trying to do per se, but I felt like he wasn't being very honest with me as to why he needed her social. So what I said was, you know, my kids, all their records are on file at this particular hospital. Like, just take her there. She's on file. They have everything you need if she's sick. So he was like going back and forth with me about this. And so I was like, well, if she's sick, I'll come pick her up and take her to the doctor. Like, it's not a big deal. And he was like arguing with me about it. And so now I have this concern, like, well, if my daughter's truly sick and he's like fighting me about it, I'm just gonna go over there and get my daughter. Because why are we going back and forth about this if she's sick? So anyway, when I get there, he opens the door and starts screaming at me. And I don't to this day know all of what he was saying. I'm sitting there like, you said she was sick. Give her here so I can take her to the doctor. Like, it's nothing, you know? Because I was at the crib minding my business. Wasn't even thinking about you. So, like, he's just arguing with me. So now I'm worried, because I'm like, is she okay? So I call the police. So I tell the police, like, look, I don't have an issue with him. I just need y'all to go in there and make sure my daughter's cool so I can go home. Really, truly. Wasn't trying to get nobody arrested. Basically, it was just a welfare check. Like, I told him the story. Like, yeah, he called me asking for her social security number, talking about she was sick, and now I'm worried. So anyway, long story short, the police went in there, came back out. They're like, nah, she good. I'm like, cool. So then one of the cops was like, why? Did he tell you why he needed her social? I'm like, no, he didn't. And he was like, yeah, I wouldn't be too keen on giving that information out if you feel like something ain't right. And that was the end of the situation. The cops left, I left. It was what it was. But it was like, that whole situation, I would have definitely been branded angry black baby mama. Like, totally, like, without a doubt. And I was having a conversation with my husband some time ago, and we were discussing, like, baby mamas and baby daddies, because he has no baby mamas or baby daddies, and I hate that term, but just so you understand what I'm talking about. Like, the only kids he has is with me, his wife. And we were discussing that, and he was like, well, if you really think about it, were you the easiest baby mama to deal with? And my first instinct was to get upset because I felt offended by what he said. But then I was like, you know what? Let me, in all my growth, really consider that question. Was I easy to deal with for my children's fathers? Like, was I somebody who wanted to fight all the time, argue all the time? And my conclusion was that, yeah, I was angry. I was angry because there was a lot of feelings still involved. I was angry because I felt like my daughter wasn't getting respect and attention and love from her dad like his other children were. You know, there was a lot of issues. And then on top of that, all me and my husband did was fight and argue. That's all we did, like in the beginning, before we got married. You know, we were living together. All we did was fight. It was at the time where he used to place his mother and his best friend before me. And looking back on it, it's like, why do we as women expect wife spousal privileges? Did I say that right? I don't know. Because I wasn't his wife. So there was no real need for him to put me first in that relationship. And some people beg to differ. Some people are just like, you know, well, you guys are in a relationship, so he should be putting you first. And I would have to disagree with you there, because if you're not married, that relationship really doesn't matter. You guys are, just like it says in the title, friends. You can't expect anything else. But I was such, you know, I was in a different place in my life at the time. I was still trying to figure out and navigate being an adult in my 20s with 3 children, you know, still trying to navigate who I am and what I want and what I'm capable of accomplishing on my own, you know. But I don't know, it's a weird thing about having accomplishments. It's a really weird thing, because it's like, I'm like packing this on so heavy, but it's cool. I don't know what I think it's about to like clear my skin up overnight. I'm not really sure, because this stuff is getting tight. But, you know, everybody has a level of growth in their life. And when you're young and you're involved in a relationship and you have children, you don't really know who you are or what you want or what you're capable of, because a good amount of your time is spent worrying about the needs of others, which most time are your children. So you're not really spending time figuring yourself out or getting to know yourself. I think that comes later when your kids are less dependent on you, you know. And as a Black woman, your environment plays a lot of that, you know. If I had been a single mom struggling, you know, to take care of my kids, I'm sure I would be having a very different conversation with y'all right now. But because, you know, I was blessed enough to be with somebody who afforded me a good life and nice things, I didn't really experience those struggles to that extent. So I can't even really speak on a single mom who, you know, does have to deal with that. I mean, I can tell you from what I saw my mom go through, but personally, I didn't go through any of that, you know. So I think that I was in a better position to like start figuring out, like, why am I so angry? Why am I so mad? Why am I so frustrated? I didn't, you know, I had time to stop and think about those things. There's women out here who don't have time to stop and think about anything because they're constantly on the go. They're constantly having to provide. And traditionally, that's not a woman's role. We can, and we do very well at it, but traditionally, that's not a woman's role. A woman's role is to take care of the house, traditionally, you know. And that's not to say that that's all a woman is worth. A woman can do a lot. Women do a lot every single day. So I'm not trying to say, oh, a woman's place is in the kitchen, if that's what she chooses. But just know that if you choose that, you know, go in with both eyes open. Don't do it because you think, you know, this is what's going to make this man happy, because If you're not happy with your choice, you're gonna be miserable. You're gonna be angry. You're gonna eventually resent that choice, you know? And that part is just like, it plays into this whole idea of a black woman and what she's gone through. You know, the part for me that's really just hard is all the name calling and the men all of a sudden, once a girl gets pregnant, acting like her worth has been severely diminished. But there's nothing more disrespectful than a man who creates a family and then walks away from them. But men don't get backlash really hardly for that, you know. It's always the girl. Oh, she for the streets. Oh, she this, she that. But you wasn't thinking any of that before she got pregnant when you met her, when you was trying to holler at her. Now all of a sudden, she's trifling and worthless. It baffled me. It's like a conversation that probably doesn't really have an actual end to it. I think that's why these type of topics should not be mainstream. I think these things should go on a case-by-case basis, like if you're watching Judge Judy or Paternity Court or something. Because, yes, there are women who are trifling, but there are men who are trifling too. And at that same time, it just goes into, you know, women are very emotional. So a lot of things we do is emotion-based. And if she had any feelings for you at all, and, you know, here comes this child and you diss her, everything she does, everything she feels is going to be based off of her emotions. What she says, how she reacts, you know, keeping the child away from you, or, you know, just whatever. But I would really love to see this whole narrative of black women just get completely erased and everything be taken at face value and case by case, because it's just not cool. It's really not cool, and it's just too... The era that we're living in now, it's so redundant. I can't even believe that grown people even have these panels of, you know, it's like everybody in that room needs therapy. They all do, the men and the women. The women are so emotionally angry and frustrated, and then the men are just like, well, if you cook better, or if you do this, or if you know, connect with me. Like, it's like nobody's really wanting to do the work. Everybody wants to blame everybody else for why they're not happy. And if you're relying on anybody to make you happy, or relying on somebody to take care of you or support you, I can honestly tell you, you're the problem. You're most definitely the problem. Can't even lie to you about that. You really are. But I'm not going to make this video too long. I just wanted to share my input on the subject and basically say all of that to say that I think it's very ridiculous that in 2022 we're still even having to talk about this. And I think a major amount of black Americans need therapy. Like, seriously, need therapy. So yeah, it all comes back to mental health. If you're not strong in the mind, you're not going to get very far in any relationship you choose to be in. Makes me think about Kevin Samuels, you know, because he was married before, and it's like his outlook on the black woman, and it was always physical. Oh, how tall are you? How much you weigh? Oh, I can tell you right now, you ain't gonna get a high value man. And it's like, a high value man. Okay, I'm assuming that just means status and money. You know, that doesn't mean that he's a great father, or he's a great lover, or he's a great provider, or he's a great companion or spouse. We're all just talking about physical things. Physical all the time. It's always physical. And that's not a deep relationship at all. That's a man wanting a trophy wife. And it's not getting down to the heart of the emotional aspect of a black woman. You know, not trying to help her heal. If you're not trying to help her heal, you're not trying to help her do anything. Like, just go away. But yeah. I'll check you out in the next video. I'm probably going to go wipe this off because it's getting harder and harder. And it's like really hard for my mouth to move now. So y'all stay mentally chill and protect your mind. Peace.